aesthetically, Lua is super ugly. I hate looking at Lua. I don't particularly enjoy.
I feel the same way.
You just run terminal.
Oh, okay. So and
we
you
put
can
the name of our company in there. No, I'm just kidding. I'm waiting. After I do this, I know someone's going to make this package in Emacs. Okay, so I'm giving away competitive advantage here. Okay, this is new tech. I was really hoping you were going to say edit videos, edit music, edit text. Those are all the things that I don't do inside Emacs. But if you're like, oh, it just every time I open Neovim and auto updates, it pulls the latest Neovim update and pulls the latest lazy thing.
Yeah.
Possibly from the same day. Nobody's had time to sync those up together.
You're touching a sore spot for me right now, TJ.
I know I am. I know. I'm helping, Greg. I'm helping.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate it. He's kind of a controversial person. Are we still recording? Are we still live right now?
Yeah, we're live. We're live. No, but
Time to take this private.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this as a podcast, remember that it was originally recorded as a video. If you're not following along, you can go to my YouTube channel. And if you want to support me to keep this podcast going, you can donate in Ko-fi. I'm going to leave a link in the description. So let's get started with this chapter then.
there's a discussion going on between the only two editors out there that matter. And those are Neovim and Emacs. There's other editors out there as well. I don't know. Cursor is the only one I know. I have never installed it. I've never used it, but
ED is another one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I actually just handed the CEO of Cursor the Neovim help manual printed out. First page of it yesterday. Not joking.
Really?
Yeah, when I was in San Francisco, I handed him a signed copy.
Man. By the way, thanks for showing up, TJ, because
Yeah.
we were missing a guest, so I reached out to TJ and he accepted. Really appreciate it. I also want to apologize with the rest of you because I have to reschedule 4 or 5 different times. There was a lot of back and forth, so apologize for that, guys. And what are we doing? We're just gonna discuss, friendly, talk about the two editors. Okay, so let's start by introducing each other, just in case there's someone in the audience that doesn't know who you are. 2 minutes, that's what I have in the agenda here. Introduce each one of the guests, demos. Each one of the guests is just going to talk about the tool that they use. 5 minutes each approximately, or 7 minutes. That's going to be a total of 30 minutes around that. Experience, if you have experience with the opposite tool or not. And what would you recommend someone starting with all this? Neovim, Emacs, why? And if there's other editors that you would recommend, right? So let's just start with introductions. TJ, let's go with you.
Cool. I'm TJ DeVries. You may see me around as Teej DV. I'm working at terminal.shop these days. We do coffee through the terminal. You can buy it, SSH, terminal.shop. And we also do a lot of other stuff. I work with the Primeagen a lot on making videos, hosting events, and doing random programming stuff. So you'll see us, I think, if you didn't see us in the tower earlier this year, we built a video game in a week in a water tower. Tower defense game in a water tower. So there you go. And we're going to go back to that later this year. So you can keep your eye out for that.
Are you the CEO of terminal.shop, Teej?
Yeah, we've got a lot of them. We've got several. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Now, we also have DT with us.
Yeah, my name is Derek DT. The channel on YouTube and Odyssey is DistroTube. I typically talk about Linux-related topics, free and open source software, lots and lots of videos over the years on Vim and Emacs. So probably 100 on each. So lots of stuff. Of course, various shell utilities and scripting and a lot of nerdy stuff and some fun stuff as well. So I have spammed the YouTube algorithm, so you might have seen me in your search results. So that is the goal. That's the game I'm playing.
I want to thank the first person that got the CEO YouTube membership. That is Web23. You should be able to see the name somewhere around here alongside with the website. So if you want to support me and my family so that I can keep making these videos, I'm going to leave a link in the video description. You can consider becoming a YouTube member. You get different perks with the different memberships, But if you become a CEO, I have to say your name on the credits of each one of the videos. But that's not the only one. I have different levels. Each one of them supports and keep the channel going. Let's see if we can get the heart out. Where is it? There we go. All right, so let's jump back to the video. Awesome. We also have Greg with us.
Yep. Hey, I'm Gregory. I'm here because I'm on the Neovim core maintainer team. I've been involved with Neovim as a project for, it's been about 4 years now, which is kind of crazy to think about. And I've been using Vim for that full time for a lot longer. Unlike I think a lot of the other guests, I don't have a huge online presence, I guess. I spend time in Neovim spaces a lot and on GitHub and things like that. I do have a blog that's linked in my little description bubble somewhere over here, where I occasionally write tech-related stuff. It's not very like regular. So if you're an RSS subscriber or something, you might get one every couple months or something. But aside from that, I work. My background in software engineering has been a little bit varied. I started out doing like web development for a technology consulting firm, like JavaScript front ends and Java, JSP backend stuff. Most kind of my roots. And then I went almost full into the other direction and started working in like electrical engineering, FPGAs, low-level embedded stuff, which I ended up really enjoying a lot. And I'm currently somewhere in the middle doing systems engineering at Cloudflare, which I'm also really enjoying. So that's what I do during the day. And then my open source stuff keeps me busy in my free time.
And what do you do in the Neovim team? Like, what are your contributions or what?
Honestly, I've kind of touched a little bit of everything. Like LSP and Tree Sitter are probably some of like the more user facing stuff. I would say probably my main contributions though are the stuff that I really enjoy the most is anything that's related to the terminal. So Neovim, especially the last year or two, I think has seen a lot of improvements and new features related to new terminal standards, which we'll talk about, I'm sure. And that kind of dovetails nicely with also another project that I'm involved with, Ghostty. And that's been a pretty beneficial relationship because as Neovim is a fairly popular terminal-based text editor and Ghostty is a fairly popular terminal. And so there's a lot of overlap between these two. And it has happened a lot of times where if you find a bug in Neovim through Ghostty, like helps me triage the bug quicker. And then also as we develop new features in Ghostty, I can test them in Neovim and vice versa. A big problem with the terminal stuff is like there's not like a real standards body. The way that new features develop is someone proposes something and then you kind of have to get like agreement with other terminal emulators or applications. Say, yeah, we want to do this. And you see this a lot where someone will propose something and then other people say, okay, it sounds nice, but who implements this, right? Like as a terminal emulator author, no applications do this. So why would I bother? And as a terminal application author, you say, well, no terminal support this, so why would I bother? And so you kind of creates this bootstrapping problem. So with me double dipping in Ghostty and Neovim, we've kind of found a hack around this because I can just say, yeah, Ghostty creates this new feature, I'll just go implement it in Neovim. Like, no problem.
We found out the answer was Greg both times. That's the answer. Who writes this? No matter what, it's always Greg.
Man, so contributor in both of the projects. Like, are you really active in Ghostty as well?
I used to be a lot more. I'm still on the maintainer team. I still technically have the ability to like merge PRs and stuff, although I don't do that very often these days. I try to stay involved with like the discussions, but between working full time, working with Neovim and this personal life stuff, don't have as much time today as I used to. Also, frankly, it's kind of a testament towards Ghosty's maturity because a lot of my contributions to Ghostty in the early days were just, I was using this new terminal and I was like, oh, it doesn't have this feature that I want. So I would go just implement it and that would be like my contribution. And I just did that enough times where it was like develop trust and credibility in the community. But today, Ghostty is like as far as I'm concerned, is perfect. Like I have zero complaints or feature requests. It just does exactly what I want. So I'm just like, well, I don't have any real strong motivation to
tmux sessions. We need sessions.
Yeah, I didn't say it's perfect for everybody. It's just perfect for me. Like for what I need it to do, it does everything. So I'm kind of just like, all right, just feels done to me. So I'm being a little selfish. But it's in very good hands. I mean, the other maintainer team is incredible. So my reduced contributions certainly is not having a negative impact on the project.
Awesome. Okay, thanks for sharing that. We also have Joshua Blais with us.
Hey everybody, I'm Joshua. When are you shipping coffee to Canada, Teej?
We tried, and I'm not joking, like 25% of them just disappeared in customs.
Nice. Oh.
So we did try. We have to find a Canadian roaster. So as soon as we do, I can let you know. I'll let you know.
Okay. Keep me posted because I looked at ordering the other day. Yeah, I'm Joshua Blais. I use Emacs. I've written some stuff on it on the internet, and written a book in it actually, and program day to day in it. It's kind of taken over my computer almost holistically. So it's literally how I use a computer. I am the Emacs meme in that it has essentially taken my entire life. And so that's why I'm on this stream.
Oh, but you had an adventure with Neovim. Are you ashamed of that?
Yes. Yeah, I did. About a year ago, I made a video about why I left Emacs, and I quickly recanted because it's just not the same. It's just not the same.
Skill issue, as Prime would say.
That's funny.
All right. Thanks, everyone. So I think we can talk a lot about each one of the tools, but words are not going to do justice or not going to, help people take a decision. So that's the goal, just if there's someone watching this, they hear about both of the editors, Neovim, Emacs, they don't know where to start. They don't know which one to use. So if you guys can show each one of your setups, that's the goal. We're going to do it interactive, and people as viewers can take their own decisions, So why don't we start with that? You want to go first, Teej?
I want Greg to go first.
You want Greg to go first?
Yeah, I want Greg to go first. I want to see how he's using Neovim these days, so I can steal some tricks.
Okay, Greg, want me to switch it to your screen?
Let's do it.
All right. You can see it.
Okay, so yeah. All right, so this is, I'm sure I don't have to explain to any of the people watching this what we're looking at here, but this is a terminal emulator, of course. This is Ghostty, as we talked about. I guess like any Vim or Neovim user will kind of say like Neovim today and Vim 2 can do quite a lot. It's become extremely extensible, and it really is. It's a platform, not too dissimilar from Emacs. But the way that I use Neovim, and I think most users do, is that primarily as a text editor inside of the shell and kind of the terminal-based ecosystem as like a broader IDE. So anyone who uses Neovim or Vim also probably has a lot of opinions about their shell and which shell they use and how they use it and stuff. And I'm no different. I use Fish. I'm a big fan of Fish. I don't do anything super fancy. I just have the same shell prompt that I've been using for forever now. It's the same one that like everyone else uses apparently. I didn't realize that when I saw it. I was like, oh, that looks nice. And I started using it. And then I would watch other people like share their screens or like do YouTube videos. And I found out, everyone uses this, I guess. So I guess I'm just very basic that way. I did write it myself though. I'm not talking about any of them right now. I will, I promise. But my Fish prompt, I did write myself. It's like adapted from other ones, but I really disliked all like the built-in Git info stuff was like super laggy on the default ones and some ones I looked at. So I do like this extremely over-engineered Fish prompt that I won't walk through this because this is not why we're here. But it's like almost embarrassing that like 200 lines of code just for my prompt, and it's like only because I was like obsessed with making it Like I wanted zero delay between, like, I want to be able to like spam enter and there never be a delay with like the git prompt. The irony to all of this is that I now use Jujutsu instead of git, and so I don't even include my git info in my prompt at all anymore. So all of that engineering effort is wasted. But the one place I do still use git, not Jujutsu, is my dot file. So you can see it here. I have like my branch, but it's like, see, I can like hold this down and there's never a delay. So I'm very proud of that. Anyway, yeah, so I use Fish as like my shell, and that's like my primary development environment. And then that was my editor. So I don't really have anything planned, I guess. I'll talk about like, so when I start Neovim, this is what I see. This is kind of what my setup looks like. I have my little LSP notifications in there. A fairly basic status line. Nothing too crazy here. I've been using Nord as my color scheme forever. I really hate I hate working with color schemes. Like I know some people like love switching their color schemes every week. I literally cannot think of anything less fun. I hate it so much. So I found one that's like good enough for me and has like built-in presets for a lot of different things. And I haven't changed. And Nord is a little bit, it's like very blue. Sometimes I feel self-conscious about how blue it is when I'm like sharing my screen or something, but I like that it doesn't have a ton of colors. It has like, it's a fairly low contrast. It only has a few different colors, which I like.
I've noticed that most people use low contrast themes. Mine is pretty high contrast. Mine leaves you blind. If you look at my screen, just look at those colors. But I guess that is not too popular, right?
Oh, I can't stand low contrast. My eyes just can't handle it.
Yeah, for sure. I think high contrast is better from like an accessibility standpoint. For me, it's not really the low contrast that I like. It's just the few colors. Like if there were more contrast here, I don't think I would mind. It's just that I like that there's only like 3 or 4 colors when it seems like a lot of popular color schemes today have like close to a dozen. And I'm like, I don't know. I guess one of my like medium spicy takes is if your color scheme has like the point of syntax highlighting is to quickly draw your eye to relevant information to help you visually parse things quicker, right? And if you have too much stuff highlighted, you end up going too far in the other direction, and then it's equivalent to having nothing highlighted because there's not enough visual distinction. But I don't know how many other people have shared that opinion. I might be a boat that I'm in by myself. But anyway, yeah. So I use Nord, pretty basic setup. I will say like the way that I use Neovim today is I think would look familiar to an old school Vim user, right? Like I used Vim for years before I used Neovim, and I think that really had a big influence on kind of the way I think about it as a tool and how I use it and how I like to use it. So I don't have a lot of like eye candy. I do have some for sure, but I try to stick to like Vim paradigms and like the default Vim way, so to speak, of doing things as much as I can. So that's a big like. If one can have a philosophy of text editing, I guess that's mine. So when it comes to like how I have Neovim configured, I have a lot of custom stuff, right? Like all of these directories are full of files. Even my plugin manager is just like this little shell script that I wrote, like 100 lines. This is all I have as far as
you don't.
plugins.
Oh, okay. You don't use LazyVim.
No, I don't use Lazy. I don't know. I guess like when I switched to, so like when I was using Vim, I used, I don't know, Vim plug, and then I used Minpack for a little bit because I liked how just simple and dumb it was. Like the way you install plugins in Vim, and I know it's a little bit different in Emacs, my experience there, but like in Vim, all you have to do is clone a repo. Like you put some files in a certain directory and then it's installed. That's it. So I was looking at like, I don't want to like call any names out, or I don't want to like name and shame or anything, but I was looking at these different plugin managers for Neovim, and they were like hundreds and hundreds and sometimes thousands of lines of code. And I was just like, why? To me, it just felt wrong. I was like, this should be so simple. Like it's a plugin manager for Vim is basically a fancy Git wrapper. So like, what if I just wrote one myself as a shell script? Like, how simple could I make it? And this is all just POSIX shell. That isn't using any bashes. So it works literally on every Unix POSIX system. And then that's it. But I don't use a lot of. I'm kind of cheating here, right? Because
yeah, that is cheating to put mini in there. That's like 95 plugins. That is a little bit of cheating.
It is cheating. I don't deny that at all. It is cheating. Of these, I use like maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 of Evgeni's mini plugins in here.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the expose when it comes out. Like Mini NVim has like 100 plugins. It's a little bit kind of false advertising, don't you think? Like Mini? I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I've been trying to get him to do an interview, but it's tough. I want to ask him a lot of questions, but so Mini. Do you use mini.files?
I do use mini.files. I guess this is the mini.pic, mini.files too. I'm a big fan. I like that. I like Evgeni's kind of design philosophy with mini.nvim, that each one is an individual file, right? Like that's it. There's no dependencies. Like it's very simple. It's very easy to like read and understand if you want to see what's going on under the hood. Some of them are pretty big. Like the last time I looked at mini.pic, I think it was like over 1,000 lines long, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's gotten even bigger since then. But I'm always like trying to like delete plugins. Like if I can, anytime I have the chance to delete a plugin, I like unironically, a lot of my motivation for PRs and work that I've done with Neovim has been adding defaults so that I can delete a plugin. Just because I kind of view plugins as like, I don't know. It's like almost a form of like technical debt or something. It's like dependencies, and I don't like having dependencies, I guess. So these are the ones that I use. But what I also like, if having many in here is cheating, the fact that I also have like, how many files do I have in this directory? Okay, I have like 7. So I mean, I have like a bajillion of my own custom stuff in here, right? And this is where I think what I do really starts to deviate from your average Neovim user, because like almost like how good is my grip grip? Like almost none of this is let's see. Can I do this from memory? No. I don't remember the syntax off the top of my head, but I can do this, I think. Right? I mean, I'm trying to find how much in here is Lua. It's very little, is the point I'm trying to make. Almost everything that I have in here is fennel. So just looking in the plugin directory, you can see a lot of it is fennel.
What is that? Fennel.
Oh, the Emacsers are going to like this.
The Emacs Fennel is a Lisp that compiles into Lua. So this is when I configure Neovim. This is what it looks like for me. No syntax highlighting, and it's all Lisp. So yeah, this is where the Emacs people and I are spiritually aligned, because when I discovered Lisp, I don't know why, but it just like clicked me so well, and I just loved it.
DT, we can convert them.
Well, I was thinking we're getting Josh back in. Maybe he didn't know last time. He didn't know he could still write Lisp and to be in Neovim.
So the way that I have this configured is what I like about it is I can write a fennel file in any location that a Lua file works, and it just kind of works magically. The way that it happens under the hood is I have a tiny little bit of Lua code that sets up an auto command, which is like an event handler for people that aren't familiar with Vim. And then anytime that I write a fennel file in one of these special locations, under the hood, it gets automatically ahead of time compiled into Lua and then written to a separate directory in Neovim's runtime path, so that when Neovim starts, it actually is still loading Lua files, but all the source code, so to speak, is all on fennel.
And is there a reason? Is there a reason for that? Like, is it performance related, or is it just because you like writing Lisp?
A reason for using fennel over Lua?
Yep.
Oh, I don't particularly like Lua. I think Lua. I have mixed feelings about Lua. Is a better way to say that. I think aesthetically, Lua is super ugly. I hate looking at Lua. I don't particularly enjoy.
Feel
writing.
the same way.
I think Lua is an excellent example.
Get a
of
better
doing
color scheme, Greg. No, I'm just kidding.
That's fair.
I know
Lua
why he
is a
likes.
great-
I know why he likes Lisp more than Lua, because when everything is a parentheses, it makes things so much easier. You never have to worry about punctuation.
Yeah, and I have one of the plugins that I wrote and that I still maintain is a parinfer plugin, which Lisp users are probably familiar with that. But that makes writing Lisp in here so much easier because, like, let's see if I can demonstrate this. But like, as I write, you can see the parentheses are auto completed and are not only auto completed but like auto adjusted. It's like, I don't know, I'm just like writing random crap here, but
You know what would make writing Lisp super nice? Writing it in a Lisp environment.
Yeah.
That's what
Well,
I was going to ask, Gregory. Maybe
Yeah.
Neovim is not the answer for you.
Well, I will talk about that when the time comes, but I do have I do have this plugin fennel-repl, which kind of creates. It's not anywhere close to Emacs. I'm not claiming that it is, but it does gonna give you that interactive. So this lets you like interact with Neovim, and it kind of turns Neovim into a fennel interpreter. So it kind of gives you the little bit of the itch that Emacs does. And there are other plugins that do this too, right? Like mine is not the only one. It's just I have, when it comes to stuff like this that I do for fun, I have like severe NIH syndrome, and I like doing this for fun, right? So it's like I like to do it myself and see if I can do it in a way that's simpler or in fewer lines of code. If
He's
I
not a
just write it
masochist.
myself, right? Yeah.
How many hours do you say you put into your Neovim configuration and, tinkering with Neovim and all that? Has it been years of playing around?
Yeah, it's over the course of many years, right? Like I actually don't change it much anymore. What happens is I'll just be using it to like do my day job or whatever, right? Or to like fix some bug in Neovim, and they'll be like, I wish I could do this, right? Like just recently, an example of this is at work we use TypeScript, and I was working with the TypeScript file, and I use the TypeScript language server for the LSP, and it works really well, but it doesn't integrate with Prettier, which is like the JavaScript or TypeScript formatting tool. So I was like, okay, I'll just write a little snippet of fennel that when I open a TypeScript file, it will like traverse the file structure, find like the Prettier RC file if there is one, and if there is, automatically set the formatting program, right? It's like stuff like that. I was like, this is useful to me, so I just sat down and wrote that, and so that's how this file was born, for instance. So now when I like open up a TypeScript file and there's a Prettier RC somewhere in like the file structure, it sets the format program options so that I can auto format TypeScript files. Mm-hmm. So it's like stuff like that. It's like, okay, I have this need to do something, and I just write the code to do it. And to me, this is like what makes both Neovim and Emacs too. Like this is what's so addicting about these editors is that they're fully scriptable, right? Like, and I know TJ is coined the term like your personal development environment, and I 100% agree. That's like why people, I think that's why people get intimidated by them, and also why people are so addicted to them, right? Is because once you kind of break through the initial pain and get over the initial learning curve, and you figure out, you learn how to make it effortless to just adapt this tool to like fit you like a perfect glove. Like, why would you ever use anything else? It's nothing beats that. It's just stuff like that. It's just accumulated over years and years and years of using this tool, and that's how all these files come from. Like, I have my own grep implementation that I wrote that's asynchronous because the built-in grep is crap. To be frank. It needs to be replaced, but that's a really big project, so no one's done it yet. So like if I just do this, then that was granted this is a small repo, so it was gonna be fast no matter what. But like in a huge repo like the Linux kernel or something, if you run grep synchronously, you're gonna be sitting there waiting for a very long time. Whereas if you run it asynchronously and hook into the Neovim event loop, you can kind of stream in results as they come in. So there's just stuff like that, right? It's just very much like a build your own tools kind of situation.
Okay. Awesome. Now, let's try with one of the Emacs guys now. Wants to go first. DT?
You want to go first?
Sure.
All right. Let's go. Let's see what you have.
So my stuff doesn't change all that often because over the years I've gotten things to the point where I don't really configure much. Like my Emacs config, if I let me zoom in. So
You had to show the variable font size, right? You had to do it.
myconfig.org, though, is 1,100 lines, a little more than 1,100 lines, but it is, because I'm a content creator, I don't create my configs necessarily for me. And this is the same for everything I do. My shell configs, my window manager configs, like with xmonad and qtile, my configs are massive. And that's because I put them out there mainly for documentation for other people. I could easily remove half the stuff from my Emacs config and be fine. So that's one thing. As far as for people that are new to Emacs, you mentioned the variable font sizes. One thing that many people are confused with, if they're not familiar with what Emacs is, many people assume it's a terminal because it's all text-based, but it's not really. It's actually a graphical program. It's actually a GTK program. And it is mostly text-based, but because it's a GTK program, I can get images in it. I could go to a website right now if I wanted to. There's a built-in web browser called EWW here, and I could go to my website, which I never update, but here is distro.tube, and you see I can get images, right? Any images I would have had on the page would have come up, just because that's the nature of Emacs. So you get variable font sizes and cool Unicode symbols and images. I can use this as a PDF reader, for example, because again, graphical application. If you're stuck in a TTY, like you don't have a X server or Wayland server, and you were stuck in the TTY, you can launch Emacs inside a terminal. You're not going to get any graphical stuff, obviously, without a graphical server running, but you can run Emacs in the terminal. That's not typically what people are trying to do. They're trying to use the real Emacs, which is the graphical program. Now, why Emacs over something like Vim or Neovim? I often use Neovim on my videos, like when I'm doing things like with teaching people certain shell commands. I just pull up a terminal and I'll launch Neovim. Why do I do that? People often ask. They'll see me using Emacs on one video and Neovim on another. If I just used Emacs all the time for everything, all the questions I would ever get are Emacs related. People just, hey, what's that program you just launched? And I don't want it to be pushing Emacs on everybody. I'd like to, show them a little bit of everything. But the difference between Emacs and Neovim really is Emacs is it's its own like self-hosting environment, because Emacs is really a programming language, Emacs Lisp, and it's an interpreter for that language. It's not really a text editor. Like, yeah, I can edit text in this thing if I want to, but it's really a programming language and an interpreter, and any program you write using that language, Emacs interprets it. And we've got a million things. Like I could launch this here. This looks like a terminal. It's actually the E shell. It's an Emacs window. That's the E shell. It's an Emacs shell written in Emacs Lisp. It's not Bash. It's not Fish, right? You would think it's running like a standard, like Unix-like shell, but it's its own unique shell. And the cool thing about Emacs, when you write these Emacs Lisp programs, is Emacs is cross-platform, so it works on Windows, Mac, and Linux. So you could actually use the E shell on Windows, where you might have a problem running, the Fish shell on Windows, for example, inside Emacs, or man pages, right? I can actually run a man command here and get a man page for something. For example, maybe I want to read the man page for LS, but you would have to have the man database on a system, which for people running a Unix-like operating system would be fine. But we have this really cool alternative in Emacs called Woman. So you can get a woman page, and I could actually read this. And because this is not dependent on a man database, it ships its own kind of database. Everything's written in Emacs Lisp with woman pages. You would get woman pages on a Windows machine too if you used Emacs, where obviously you're not going to have the man pages available to you. So it's just a different way to do things. Also, with the way Neovim or Vim or any terminal-based editor works is you open a terminal and then you do something with that terminal. I don't know. You open my bash RC here, and this is Neovim. Even though I typed Vim, it's an alias for Neovim. And, you do what you do, then you get back out to the shell. And the problem is anything I do in the shell, like I run some commands in the shell or whatever, inside Vim or Neovim, you have buffers. But those buffers are for when you're inside Neovim. Well, when I get back out to the shell and go back into Neovim, this ls command or whatever it is, it's not part of the buffers, right? But in Emacs, you start by launching Emacs, and you literally do everything from that point inside Emacs, and everything you do is an Emacs buffer. Doesn't matter what I do. I open a terminal, I run htop inside that terminal inside Emacs, I do the web browser, I do the maggot get client, whatever it is. And, I'll have 100 buffers open at some point, maybe 200, if I never close any of them, which many people that use Emacs typically don't really ever kill their buffers. So you'll have hundreds of them open, so you can quickly switch between them. So it's a different kind of workflow that confuses people when they switch, especially from Vim to Emacs, because they're so used to opening that terminal for everything. And then it confuses them because they don't really need a terminal for Emacs, but they need terminal for other things. And well, in Emacs, you have the terminal inside Emacs, where in Vim runs inside the terminal. So it's like everything's kind of turned on its head, and it really confuses people's brain when they switch.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Thanks, DT. Now, let's jump to Neovim. So we go one-on-one. TJ.
Sure. That sounds good. All right. Greg showed a lot of good stuff throughout Neovim. Obviously, it's got all the stuff you expect these days with LSP and tree sitter and stuff like that. We do actually have, terminal inside of Neovim here too, so we can run the terminal inside Neovim, and this is just a regular, Neovim buffer. So if I wanted to, I don't know, block select or something, I can still do that. So that's nice.
How do you do that?
That's actually how. What?
How do you do that?
You just run terminal.
Oh, okay. So and
we
you
put
can
the name of our company in there. No, I'm just kidding.
And you can select text like in a Neovim buffer, right?
Yeah. So it has terminal mode where you type stuff, right? I'm just typing stuff. But then when I escape out, I'm in normal mode again. So I can navigate around just like I would modally, generally speaking, with the Neovim. So these are just tabs inside of one Neovim instance. That's actually how I do pretty much all of my dev stuff. I don't have anything against tmux or something. I know there's some people that have I don't know, they have vendettas against multiplexers and stuff. But I just never needed it. When I started writing code, I started basically with Neovim when it was first coming out, and I was like, this is really cool. It blew my mind. You could write code and change what your editor was doing, and I was scared of the parentheses in Lisp. Oh, that's an overrated concern, guys. You don't need to be worried about it. It's the same number of parentheses, okay? So think about it, okay? It's the same number. So that was not a good reason not to do it. But yeah, so I just never really got started on tmux, and so I just started using the terminal inside of Neovim. So that's how I've pretty much always done it. But it is kind of it's backwards for how a lot of people use Neovim. But I like that I can script it. I can send stuff if I need to the terminal and do all the other stuff, which I'm sure a bunch of Emacsers also that you can, I'm going to highlight this and send it over to this, or I'm going to pipe that command back into an output or whatever. I think all of those are fun. So,
now,
go ahead.
Just a question. Now, you mentioned tmux, right? But the reason I use tmux is Prime, because I watched this video how he was using tmux. I didn't even know how to use tmux, only in remote servers. But the way he uses it to switch sessions, right? With that shortcut, I just jumped to the sessions. How do you navigate between different projects? GitHub repos.
I've got 9 desktops right here. I'll just have I just have them stay. This is my desktop. I leave it on forever. So if I'm working on something, I just leave it on whatever number it is. I'll leave it on number 4. but I got a different project on number 4, just hanging out there, waiting for me to come back to it.
Another terminal instance,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I just open up another, like, I'll just, if I was like, oh, I want to go work on another project, I'll just open a new Ghosty. Shout out Ghosty, right? I maybe I go and I open this up, and now I'm editing my Elixir project, right? So like now I'm here on like router, so I'm just doing this. Yeah, we can do that. That's fine, right? And then then I'm done with that one, I'll just go back to here. So I switched desktops.
Okay, and do you keep track of? Okay, I keep this project always in desktop 1 and
No,
this.
because I don't switch projects like every 2 minutes, so it doesn't bother me. Like I was working on a project mostly for like a day or a few hours, right? So it's like, I mean, I usually can kind of remember because it's like I don't have that many projects happening at once, but yeah. And then I also like that because if I want to open like the browser for this one, and I have, of course, 37 tabs as software developers tend to do, right? Like then they're all grouped with the same Neovim like session, right? So yeah, so it's like that's for me, that's kind of the workflow that I do for those. And then, like I said, so I open up my terminal inside of here if I want to do like random git commands, or I want to check something, or I want to grep or whatever. I'll just do that all here. You know what I mean? Like, and if I need to do something with it, I can grab them and paste it or whatever. So we do have that going on. So I don't know if any Emacsers out there didn't know that, it's worth giving a shot. So, but the thing that I wanted to show that's kind of funny, I mean, we've got all the fun stuff. I know that, I think, I forgot which, or is it just theme? Is it? No, it's this way. So I copied Ivy. Here you go. So if you're missing Ivy, I wrote Telescope a long time ago. Other people have been working on it. I haven't done very much with it in a long time. For me, it's finished software. Like I haven't changed it in forever, but so I stole some Ivy ideas too. So if you like that, so we've got the
Ivy
fuzzy
comes
bind-
from Emacs.
Emacs, yeah, it's a completion framework.
Yeah, so Telescope has ways of doing different themes. Like this is the same fuzzy finder, but it's just different themes of like ways of presenting it. These are Neovim, like real Neovim buffers. This is all inside of Neovim, right? Like to get proper highlighting, and I'm scrolling with my mouse wheel right now, in case that's cool. Like all that good stuff, right? And you can do those, and then it has it for like everything. If I call a function that doesn't exist, we could do like telescope diagnostics, and it'll find that. You can search for all of the things that you have in your project and jump between them and do all of that good stuff too. So it's a generic fuzzy finder like experience, right? You can pipe anything into it, and people do that. But the thing that I kind of wanted to show, just as like a fun like thing of, I feel like this is something I'm waiting. After I do this, I know someone's gonna make this package in Emacs. Okay, so I'm giving away competitive advantage here. Okay, this is new tech. I wrote that I can't decide if this project is actually a joke or not. It's just kind of a funny idea that I had a little bit ago, which is like, I have a dynamic environment, right? I can like execute Lua files. Like LLMs can produce code. We can save the code when they're done. So what if we did something where we basically make like a Lua module? In this case, I have this Lua module, and anytime I call it with like the name of a function that like exists already, so I have examples and I have add numbers here, right? And it has a bunch of random stuff in here, not too important what's going on. Then it will just call this function. So if I execute this file here. Oh, that's for later. I got to comment that part out. That was cheating. We'll come back to that. If we print adding these numbers, right, it'll just print 15. Like, no surprise. That's because there's real code there. We're not asking any LLMs what 5 plus 10 is. We asked it to write code that would take in these arguments, right? And so if I like go to my Lua code here and I delete add numbers like this, I think so it's going to say, oh, I'm going to generate a new function. It's calling to an LLM. It just asked Anthropic to write a new file. And now it saved it, and now it's there. It keeps the history, because what you can also do is you could say something like this, where you say, hey, I want to improve this example of add numbers. It should optionally include like a middle, which I think this still works. I actually don't remember if I didn't check this. I was on a plane, today. Okay, so that part didn't work. The improve part didn't work. I don't have to go back and check that part later. But there is a way to like iterate on the LLM's answers. So if it does something you don't want it to do, then you can ask it again. So if we do something instead like make a cool floating window, And then I pass the things like, yeah, that's good. Title, hello world 2, file type. Yeah, sure, why not? We'll do this. It says I don't have this function, right? Now it's going to ask Claude, give me that function, and it's going to generate a bunch of Lua code. And then, oh, please. No, it didn't work. Oh, it did work. It did. I forgot to press enter. There you go. And it changed the background color to green, right? So it changed everything, and it wrote the code for me. So I have the most dynamic editor of all time. I can communicate to it in English, and it will make the functions for me. And it will do like insane stuff. I asked it to do one where it said, generate a dad joke in place in a floating window. And it actually goes, whoops, here you go. What did the drummer name her twin daughters? And a 1 and a 2. Great
it's
joke.
Good. Yeah.
It wrote a curl request to an actual dad joke API, pipes it in and gets it back. So that was from the LLM. So I said I wanted a dad joke in a floating window, and it did that. So anyways, that was just sort of the fun thing that I wanted to show of like, I think it's kind of fun of thinking about like the editor as this really dynamic experience and being able to do very goofy stuff like this where it's a solved problem. Someone's done this already. Like someone's written code to make a pop-up window. But it's been done. You even if you can't remember exactly which things it is, it's been done. So like just ask the LLM, it'll just put it in there. You can check it if you like it. You can edit it. You can do whatever you want, and then you can iterate on it. So there you go. So that's my Neovim demo for you.
Awesome. How did you do the autocomplete of stuff there? Was that Copilot or what was
that's
autocomplete?
Supermaven. Yeah. So I mean, it's like an alternative to that. Yeah.
Is it good?
Supermaven guys are cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask TJ, was that DWM for your window manager?
I'm using AwesomeWM.
AwesomeWM, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I literally, like, I only picked it because, like, well, I already know Lua, so that's fine.
Makes sense,
I don't have a lot going on with it. But, yeah. The only things that I've done that are kind of, like, some goofy stuff is, like, write random things, mostly for stream, that are, like, kind of hyper-specific to, like, load these 3 things, put this here, make it in a floating window, put it floating on top. I press it again, it makes it disappear. Like that kind of stuff. Otherwise, I'd probably be fine, like with something much simpler.
I was actually, why I was asking is like, it's kind of surprised me if you were on DWM because
why not awesome?
Because awesome is
right. Yeah, why not awesome? Yeah, exactly.
You'd probably like it a lot better.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
Awesome's a good experience. Yeah.
Am I the only macOS user here, Greg? What are you on?
I'm using a Mac too.
Mac.
I do use Linux at work though, but I just use No. I don't do anything fancy there.
Okay.
Honestly, I think Neovim consumes all of my config tweaking budget.
Yeah.
I have like no desire or like to do any more beyond that anymore.
What is that ball?
Well, this is technology that you use if you're expecting that you might get a raid from the Primage and you have to have a yoga ball to bounce on.
Is that his ball, Teej?
Yeah, I don't think it's the same one. If you're looking for something very funny about that, though, you can check out balls.yoga. That's
I saw
a website that. Yeah.
But is it real? Is it a real website?
Oh, no, you can't actually buy them. Although we may do that at some point. But we did it as kind of a joke as part of this like advertisement thing for a hackathon, and we couldn't believe that balls.yoga was available to buy. So we bought balls.yoga and put a fake shop up with well, here I can show that the best part of the site is definitely the all the yoga balls of Prime being sold out everywhere.
They're all sold out
in random situations. So yeah,
you would sell them. I think you would sell them. Rumen,
yeah,
which
the main
is someone in
problem
Discord,
is fulfilling them. That's the difficulty. Physical products are very hard. NFTs, when we need an NFT collection for Prime's yoga balls.
Okay, awesome. Now, the last Emacs demo. What do you got for us, Josh?
I guess the question would be better, like, how do I not use Emacs, I guess? Because I essentially use Emacs for everything except for a web browser, a video editor, and if there's anything text related, I'm like, how can I do it in Emacs?
Now, hold on.
So
I talked to the Kitty terminal creator, Kovid. He has like a browser in the terminal. He's working on a variable font size protocol for Kitty.
Yep.
So he's kind of recreating Emacs, but in the terminal. He does everything in the terminal. So it's kind of possible, but yeah, go on. Sorry.
He's calling you out right now, Josh. He's
I mean,
you're not hardcore enough.
It is.
Just a quick question. I can't actually hear Josh now.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear him.
Yeah, you guys can. I can't.
Too.
But I can hear all of y'all. Yeah, it's weird.
Oh,
But I could hear him earlier.
Oh, what if you refresh the page, DT? Like,
yeah, I'll try that.
And let us know. Let us know if it.
Yeah, just let me know. The issue is the modern JavaScript web, right? So that's why I have to use like a Firefox or like a Chrome or something like that. Otherwise, yeah, I would use EWW like DT over there. So, yeah, if there's a text workflow that I experience, I'm like, how can I do this in Emacs?
Let's see some. Show me.
No,
Yeah.
So I mean, this is my literate. DT showed a literate config for his Emacs. This is mine. I have 2,000 lines. So when I blow this whole thing up, there you go, 2,000 lines long. That's my config. The thing that I'm really working on recently is actually switching to Nix OS. So what I did was I literally configured in literally one file my entire infrastructure of all my computers, my servers, my desktop, my laptops, everything in one file. And then that is blown out into all the other files here. But this is literally the infrastructure of my entire computing environment. So that was nice. Oh, what else did I do in Emacs? I wrote a book in Emacs. So I used org mode to write a book, export it to PDF via LaTeX. As you can see, the LaTeX header is up here. So that was my book. What else did I do here? You know what? I'm going to send Christian an email here.
From Emacs.
You should use Emacs. Hey man, you should use Emacs. And then I'm gonna go ahead. Sorry.
Do you use it, or is just to show off right now? And when no one's looking around, you use a real email client.
No. I literally, for all my personal email, I use this as my email client. So this is MU4E. I love it. The thing I'll do here too, Christian, is I'm going to use MX Spook. So it's going to attach a bunch of NSA alerting words to my email. So this is a native built-in function of Emacs in that. So when I send this email to you, it's going to alert the NSA of all these different words, and it's going to mark our conversations for future reference. So I'm just going to send that to you right now.
Oh, nice. Then they can store it for you. That's nice. That's convenient. You can ask them back for it later.
NSA has email backup.
Yeah,
so,
oh, guys, I lost a conversation with Link. Can you guys hit me back up with that? I do not remember what we were typing.
So what else do I do in Emacs? I mean, I play my music in Emacs. So I was listening to some Aerosmith. So I got some on M's. I'm listening to music in Emacs here. What else? I don't know. I program in Emacs. So here's my Go API that I was working on earlier today. Back end, front end, whatever. You can even do database client inside Emacs. I actually use REST client. These are not live secrets, so don't worry about it. But I can literally send REST requests using REST client mode. So if I want to send a request when I'm testing an API or something like that, I just use Emacs. I don't need Postman or some proprietary garbage like that.
There's a plugin in
but
Neovim.
Hey, Postman had Ryan Reynolds come to their conference, dude. I mean, they're pretty cool, okay?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm not cool, so I use Emacs.
Yeah, there's kulala.nvim, as Why So Serious said in the comments, that allows you to do that as well.
The Emacs email client, the MU4E, for those of you wondering, it is very nice. Like you would use it all the time. I don't use it, not because it's not good. It's just because when I'm in Emacs and I'm recording my desktop a lot in Emacs, people don't need all my personal emails or my addresses, because then you get all the trolls. So,
yeah, Amazon shipment sent to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I asked Christian if I could send him an email to that one. So it's a publicly available email.
Yep.
Yeah, not as private.
Nice.
But
well, I've been doxxed already, so I don't.
Yeah,
my address is not a problem.
Yeah, so I mean that's if there's something that I can't do in Emacs, I think of a way to build it in. So like I actually built a launcher inside Emacs that literally will launch programs, find files, whatever. I actually am going to probably package this out to Milpa. It'll be the first package I've ever built. So I'm not a maintainer or anything of Emacs, but I'm going to maybe put my hat in the ring of throwing out an Emacs plugin there.
I did something similar with Emacs, making it a run launcher, where it was very similar to Rofi or dmenu. It was just a small window that was just the mini buffer that I could search the programs.
The only thing about Emacs is that it's single threaded. So this is, I will concede here, is that
they're working on it though. They're working on
I know.
multi-thread. Yeah.
I can't wait till it's multi-threaded, because my goodness, like asynchronous inside Emacs, like But yeah, so if you have something hanging a thread, you're SOL. So that's the only issue that I have with it.
It's really the only issue preventing it from being a window manager too, is the fact that it's not. If it was multi-threaded, then
EXWM.
I just launch Emacs and that would be it. So.
And what
it's
issues?
the only reason I
what
don't
issues?
run EXWM.
What issues have you experienced because of the single threaded?
So if you're running like a big project or something like that and it hangs, or if you have a crash, like for example, if I'm using that as my launcher and I run a Firefox window from it, the Firefox window crashes when Emacs crashes. So everything
crashes the whole server.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's all reliant on that instance of Emacs. It's why EXWM it's something I've thought about running, but at the same time, the issue with it is that I don't want my window manager to be single threaded.
It's a problem because I tried EXWM for a little while, and like doing things like video editing or anything that's really kind of resource intensive, as soon as that crashes, the whole window manager crashes and everything you had going on, it's a pain.
Yeah,
it's not worth it.
Yeah, I'm waiting for, I don't know, I know it's in the pipeline. I know multi-threading is, they've built in, there's asynchronous functions and stuff that you can run. And I do know that native compilation also sped up a lot of the threading, but I know that it's coming down the pipeline by much smarter people than me.
Do you do something outside Emacs, Josh? What does Emacs not allow you to do?
Browse the web, edit video, edit photos.
Oh, there is a video editor in Emacs. I actually did a search for it one day because somebody sent me a message. Hey, there's a Emacs program, a video editor that's written in Emacs Lisp. It's like, there's no way. I went and found it, and I installed it, and it's very, very, very basic. But you can actually do some really simple video editing in Emacs if you wanted to. You'd be insane, but you could do it.
You could use FFmpeg. Like you could do everything in FFmpeg if you really, really wanted to. And I mean, that would be
that'd be something. I was really hoping you were going to say edit videos, edit music, edit text. Those are all the things that I don't do inside Emacs.
All right.
It's essentially my computer. Like that. Yeah. That is. It's.
We do have good multimedia stuff though. Like he mentioned the multimedia player. I'm assuming are you using EMMS for playing your audio? That's what I used to. Also, there's like radio streaming plugins, also for Emacs. Like you can do all your audio music in it.
And what do you guys think about the opposite tool? The guys that are on the Neovim side. Let's go with Greg. What do you think about Emacs, Greg? What's your experience? Have you used it? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts on Emacs are, I think it's great. I think it's a great tool. Like everything Josh just showed, I'm like, I'm honestly impressed. That I'm not sitting here sneering like, oh, what we do, like, no, I'm like, I think that's serious. It's so cool. I think like having treating Emacs as a platform that you can build on and having that scriptable environment, like it's very much a live environment is amazing. I have tried Emacs. So I started with Vim. Honestly, if I don't even remember honestly how I first started with Vim. It's so long ago now. But whenever that was, like if I had stumbled on Emacs instead, it's very likely I could be on the other side of this conversation today. But I tried Emacs after having used Vim full time for like 5 or so years, and it was mostly out of curiosity. It was like, I just want to see what this tool is like, right? Like I hear so much about it. And I probably read some blog posts or something. And I spent a good amount of time like reading through like the info pages, like the basic stuff, how to navigate with Emacs, kind of like just really spending time with it. I was never able to get it to stick, and I really did try. Like I made multiple different attempts to like really kind of get into Emacs and be an Emacs person. I think for me the difficulty was, so a lot of people, even with Neovim today, there's going to be some irony here, and that's what I'm like preemptively going to address the irony. Is people today like have this fear of Neovim that's extremely complicated. I think there's a reputation that Neovim is really hard, or like you have to install like one of these distros or something to get started with it, because like to have anything work functional and working, like you have to install 1,000 plugins. I do want to unequivocally say that is not true. And this is like a soapbox of mine. Like you can install Neovim totally basic out of the box and have an extremely useful editor with almost zero configuration. But that's not the point I want to make. The point is that people talk about how hard it is to get into Neovim, and like whether they should craft their own config and take the time to learn it, or just take a off-the-shelf distro. And I'm very much on the side of like, I know it's painful, but you should absolutely do it the hard way. Spend time with it, start with nothing, and then only as you say, okay, I'm hitting a limitation, go out and add a plugin, add a key map or whatever, right? But like take the defaults as far as you can first. I understand people are busy, like people just want to get stuff done and they don't have time for that. But that's my advice. And that's what I encourage users to do. Now, I think my difficulty with Emacs is I was not able to follow my own advice with Emacs, right? Like Emacs, I think, is like Vim and Neovim, where out of the box, it's an extremely capable editor, but it has quirks, right? It's old. It's been around for a long time, just like Vim has, and it has all these kind of weird legacy design decisions that can't be changed now because it would cause spacebar heating for somebody, to quote the XKCD comic. So experienced users of both Neovim and Vim and Emacs like learn to live with this, and it's not a problem for them. But for new people, they run into this, and so there are a lot of like paper cuts, time to kind of do things from scratch. And I just like could not, like I would try to use Emacs basic, and I'd be like, okay, I have to change this one setting. Like this is just not working for me. And then I'd be like, I have to change the other setting. And then before I know it, I'm like spending all this time writing all these different config files. And then I'm like, okay, now I do install plugins. How do I install plugins? And it gets overwhelming. And I'm like, okay, I'll just try a distro. So I try like Doom Emacs. I thought it was great. I was like, this is really cool. But then I run into the same problem. And it's exactly why I don't advise people do this for Neovim, is that when you are using someone else's config, you're using their design decisions, we talked earlier about how these tools are so powerful because you craft them to fit like your hand like a glove, right? And when you use these off-the-shelf distros, you're wearing someone else's glove, which is not necessarily bad. Like a lot of these popular distros are popular for a reason. But you end up having to learn the tool itself and also learn the distro and like the designs they chose. And anytime you run into something, it's like, is this an Emacs thing, or is this a Doom Emacs thing, right? Is this a Neovim thing, or is this a lazy .nvim thing? So that was kind of my experience with it. I did try multiple times, and I thought it was great. I could definitely see the potential, and I was like, I really want to like this. I thought org mode was super cool. I literally sat down at one point and just like watched a lecture on org mode. It's like, I want to understand why people won't shut up about this, right? Like, why is this so cool? And I see the appeal. And actually, I wrote like a little Vim plugin that kind of like emulate it's like the most basic part of work mode where you can do actually some really primitive literate programming and markdown files. I felt like this is just a really cool ability to do something like this. And so I 100% see the appeal, but I think by the time I like approached Emacs, I was already just so then pilled that moving was going to be really difficult. But I definitely took a lot of inspiration from Emacs, as you saw, like with the Lisp. I do think that Neovim has kind of bridged the gap in a sense between legacy Vim and Emacs, right? Emacs has always been extremely scriptable. It's a platform that you can control. And I think Neovim has really brought that paradigm to the kind of the Vim world a lot more.
They seem to be converging. Like there does seem to be some convergence for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess to paraphrase, I have nothing but respect for Emacs users, right? Like I feel like in the world of like VS and Cursor and WinServe or whatever, right? Like we're holding on to our 40-year-old tools. Like you can take these out of my dead hands, right? So like, there's like a little bit of a camaraderie there. But I do think like Neovim users and Emacs users, right? The reason they're so sometimes obnoxious about why they love their tools so much is because they've experienced the power of customizability, right? And once you get a taste of that,
Yeah.
you can't give that up, you know?
Yeah, definitely. That's why, I don't know, there's only two real editors out there, Neovim, Emacs. There's a lot more out there. VS, you always censor that word, right? Teej, I'll try to censor it as well.
VS,
for the
exactly. Yeah. It's a family-friendly stream, Link. Why are you cursing on stream? Please, dude, come on.
Yeah. And let's go with one of the Emacs guys who wants to go. DT, what are your thoughts on the other tool, Neovim?
It's fine. I mean, I use it. I mean, it's fine. Where I will mention, where they differ. Neovim has much better defaults than Emacs. One of the biggest complaints about Emacs as far as growing a user base is it has horrible defaults out of the box because it is not configured in any sensible way. You get this very ugly white window with black text. It's really small. It does have menu bars and a menu system, but obviously you have to deal with the Emacs keybindings. If you're not familiar with the Emacs style key cords, it is really challenging for a new user to jump into that thing. So I feel like Vim and Neovim are a little easier to get into, especially you got the Vim tutor to accompany you along the way. I feel like anybody can be on their way within a couple of hours, with Vim, to where they're reasonably comfortable, opening a file, closing a file, making basic changes to a text file. Like it's not much of a problem, where Emacs is a real investment. So that's the downside to Emacs, where I think Vim and Neovim really shine. Yeah. I also love the Vim key bindings. I cannot stand the Emacs key cords. And I've tried them when I first switched to Emacs. I used it for like a month because I wanted to learn a lot of the standard Emacs key bindings. I still remember a lot of them from that experience, but it hurt my hands. Like I really did have some hand pain. No lie. It actually, like that was the reason to change. It's like I'm going back to the Vim bindings, so found evil mode, Doom Emacs. I switched to it, which already had evil bindings already baked in, and that made a big difference because all of that Control C, Control S, Control C, Control X, all of that was so bad on that pinky, right? I couldn't do it. So that's the two areas where I will give Vim/Neovim a lot of credit, and Emacs, need some work in those departments. But other than that, I've got no real complaints. I think I use both. I could easily just stop using Emacs one day and live in Vim or Neovim. The one thing I would really miss is I've become so invested in org mode. And even though org mode has been around for more than 20 years now, it is still an Emacs thing, right? It's not, there's plugins for other editors, but just the way that thing was originally designed and built with all the various functions and, generating tables and spreadsheets and things like that, really neat stuff. It's hard for other editors to adopt it and really have like 100% compatibility with everything you can do in org mode. That's the one thing where if you get into org mode, you really are kind of locked into Emacs.
Do you literally program all of your configs and everything?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think it's easier when I put it on GitLab, it's a lot easier for folks to read that document as an org document than, for example, Qtile for my window manager, to read a Python file. I mean, they could read the Python code, but when I actually create a table of contents and an outline and blocks of code and then, have comments for each block of code, it makes it so much easier for somebody, for a noob that maybe doesn't know any Python. They would understand that a lot easier.
You hopped out of the stream, but I showed I literally programmed my Nix OS config. So essentially all of my infrastructure is literally one file.
Yeah. And I've done some of that before where I've had one literate config for multiple things. One area a lot of people do that with is with websites where you write a file and you have one literate config for all the HTML, all the CSS, and all the JavaScript in one file. And it's just this gigantic file, but it's the whole website, right? But I'm not much into web development these days, but it becomes, I do think there is a downside to putting too much into one config. I think sometimes you do want to split some of that stuff up.
Yeah, I feel you.
Okay. And what about you, Teej? What are your thoughts on Emacs?
Yeah, I don't think about Emacs. I was waiting a long time to do that one. I was waiting a long time for that one.
That was almost as good as your dad joke.
Thank you. Oh man, no. My serious answer is I feel really similar to Greg. I think Neovim took a lot of inspiration from Emacs of just saying like it's really possible to just do a bunch of things and have nice things. Like, yeah, we can just have a terminal, guys. Like people write terminals. We could put one in. You know what I'm saying? Like we can put one in. That's fine, right? And we don't need to be like afraid of those things. Like as long as you do it in a way where it doesn't like basically start multiplying the weight of maintenance, right? Where like, oh, we added this thing and now it's 4 times as much instead of twice as much, right? Or so you find a good terminal library that you can embed inside of Neovim that does most of the work for you, and then you can put one in and it's not that much work. Similarly for like, asynchronous events and like an event loop and stuff, it's like, hey, like Node solved this already with UV, like, and they have sick bindings. We can just put this inside of Neovim and do the same thing, and it's really good, right? So like I think Emacs inspired like a lot of stuff for Neovim, and I think there's been a lot of like mutual sort of like pushing each community forward, like of like, oh, that was cool that they did this. That was kind of like a twist on our thing. Like we'll do this, and then kind of like a nice, camaraderie. And of course, I've never like, I'm 31. I'm not ancient or anything. Like I never really felt like any serious like Neovim or like Vim and Emacs beef like my whole life. It always feels like, hey, we've got some like properly open source editors here and we're like fighting against the world, So it's like I always feel like that's the joke like on my stream, why it's like when we go, yeah, VS like Microsoft lies about that being open source. Like I don't have any problem with closed source editors, you know what I'm saying? Like, but like Microsoft is lying about the like VS Code, right? You know what I'm saying? Like they're saying it's open source, but then that's not true, and they're like putting all this other stuff and they're releasing LSPs that can only run inside of Microsoft's things and like all this, the list goes on and on. Like so I'm like I don't care if you make a closed source editor, but like don't lie to me about it. You know what I'm saying? So so I think like Emacs and Neovim are on the same team and like have had a lot of
I don't know, because when you say they're on the same team, they're it's probably the biggest software war has been VI versus Emacs dating back to the late 70s.
Yeah,
and
but
that's been
nobody's
going on 50
fighting
years
anymore.
now, so I don't know.
There's maybe a few people, like how after World War II, they like found some guys on some islands.
The neckbeards have almost died out. You're right.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
not
that's
many of
right,
them left. Right.
Yeah. But I'm saying
they're still sitting around programming in Perl and all. Right?
I just don't run into them that often. Yeah.
The ones left are like 70 already, so they don't care too much.
Yeah, at least if they
I don't get
date back to
online
that.
until after their bedtime. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and then I gotta jump pretty soon, Link, just as a heads up.
All right, Teej.
Yeah.
No worries. When you need to go, just
Cool.
drop. And what are your thoughts on the other tool, Josh?
I mean, people are going to hate me for this, but I use Vim inside Emacs, right? Like I use evil mode. I am an evil user, so I'm a bit of a traitor from day one. Now, with that being said, like you can't run Emacs inside Neovim, but you could run Vim inside of Emacs. So
We can though, because I can run the terminal version.
Yeah, if you can emulate a terminal, you can type Emacs, the TTY version of Emacs.
you can't get images. Can't get
Well,
images.
no, but
Can Greg's done it.
Soon. Actually, that's actually false today. Is my screen share still working? I have to show this off.
Yeah.
The gauntlet has been thrown down. The gauntlet has been thrown down. So now I have to show this. So our another member of the another Neovim core team maintainer wrote this, Sean Dewar, whose name I've never actually said out loud before, so I hope I said it right. But he wrote Doom that runs inside Neovim. So we're gonna run real Doom inside of Neovim, inside of my terminal. Running right now. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm not seeing it come through on the screen share.
Yeah, it's not coming through on the screen share.
Did you share
weird.
like an application or the entire screen?
Hold on.
Oh,
Maybe
maybe it's there you go. Oh. They are converging. I will say Emacs and Neovim are converging on features, and because I mean, you see something cool over here, somebody's going to write it over here. Yep. You see something cool over here, somebody's going to write it over here. So
even variable font size, like in some Neovim GUIs. Oh, nice. Here we go.
There you go.
Yeah. So I actually don't know how to play Doom, but this is using the Kitty graphics protocol that Kitty introduced.
That's pretty
I'm
base.
using a terminal that supports it. So this is displaying. I mean, it's pretty smooth too. But I mean, this is obviously like kind of a gimmick.
So is Tetris and Emacs.
Sean would totally admit that too. But like, we definitely have ambitions to add image support so that you can like view. Like a really cool thing to be able to do would be able to have markdown buffer, and then in a split pane have the rendered version, right? Like you can do in VS Code or Emacs. There's no reason we can't do that in Neovim. The terminal supports the Kitty graphics protocol.
Yeah.
And the variable font size thing is another thing that is still really new, but that we want to support as well. For the same idea. So there's a lot of cool stuff happening. A lot of cool stuff that's already happened in the last couple of years with terminals.
That's pretty cool.
And that's going to keep happening too.
Shout out to Henrik for Doom Emacs too, because honestly, Doom Emacs is the thing that gets people early access to Emacs. If I didn't have Doom Emacs, I don't think I would be using Emacs.
It would be a much tougher barrier to entry without it. Yeah.
There's so many sane defaults that he put into that repository that it's insane. And I mean, he's done a ton of optimizations too. Like it's not just like keybinds and stuff. Like he's literally made things faster. So he's done a great job there too. And he's made it accessible to the Vim user, thinking about coming over to Emacs. So
Yeah. TJ, you already have to drop. So one last question for you.
Yeah. Hit me.
What would you recommend someone just starting? Would you recommend them to go with Neovim?
They should try
Emacs,
both.
Distro.
They should try both.
Distro or no distro?
Oh, well, so I would say if you don't have anyone like that you're friends with that uses one or the other, I think testing a distro and just being like, oh, this has features that I like. That's like a good start. Then you know it's possible to do, like in the editor. Then maybe pair that back and try and build something either from like I'm partial to like Kickstart or something like this where it's like small and you can read it all and you can see. But pairing it back to something where you actually know what like every line in your config actually does. And then maybe like, later you could hop to a distro if you feel like it's a good value prop for you. But it's like, I do see a lot of people who have a lot of pain because they like never bothered to do 10 minutes of reading the docs. And they never figured out that like Vim has help. And you're like, dude, that's like the key feature.
ChatGPT does not fix your issue.
ChatGPT is actually pretty good. People should be asking more questions to ChatGPT and like learning how to actually paste and read a whole error message in response instead of being like it didn't solve it in 5 seconds. Like I find it's very good at a lot of those problems because someone else has already had them. So like,
ChatGPT is just asking Stack Overflow where the question's already been answered. Yeah.
Yes. Right. So, but so I'm more of like not a huge distro fan. Like I'm at least in the Neovim world. I don't know the Doom one. I hear good things about, so maybe it's different over there. But it just seems to me to end up with you never figure out how to actually use it, and then like something goes wrong, and then you're just mad. Like for me. Like, I haven't even changed anything in my Neovim config for probably 6 months. Like, I don't even know if I've done a commit. If I have, it's like literally like it's less than 10 lines probably. It's like literally nothing can break. I'm not even updating plugins most of the time, or Neovim most of the time for that either. Like, if I'm not interested in getting something, it can't break on me until I ask it to. Like, but if you're like, oh, it just every time I open Neovim, it auto updates. It pulls the latest Neovim update and pulls the latest lazy thing.
Yeah.
Possibly from the same day. Nobody's had time to sync those up together.
You're touching a sore spot for me right now, TJ.
I know I am. I know. I'm helping, Greg. I'm helping.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate it, dude. It grinds my gears. It grinds my gears when I see people complain like, "Oh, Neovim's breaking all the time." I'm like, "Yeah, you're the one that's daily driving ahead, like the master branch, updating your plugins multiple times a day, and you have like 60 different plugins." Your
morning routine is like, I get the latest Neovim without reading the changelog.
Yeah.
And I get the latest version of my 1,000 plugins, and then crazy, since none of those are actually released, they're all just from Git. They're not a version. They don't work all the time together. Yes, of course, guys. So I think you just end up in that scenario like a lot more often, and you get this feeling of like it never works, and you're like, dude, you don't have to update anything.
Now
it's okay.
How often do you update Teej?
Well, it just depends. Like, I mean, like lately, because since I haven't been, for me, it's very different. Because when I was like actively doing a lot more Neovim stuff, it would be like all the time. But that's because I was working on Neovim all the time, like with all my free time. And now it's like rarely, like once a month, maybe.
Oh, I don't even do that for Emacs and all my Emacs programs. I update. Seriously, I might update it 3 or 4 times in a year.
Yeah, I'm
if
in
it's
a
working,
similar boat.
why bother? The only time I update it is if I need to.
Yeah.
If I don't need to, I don't touch it.
Confirmed Debian stable user.
Yeah.
No.
So, anyways, I gotta run. Hey, thanks, thanks everybody for having me. Appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks for being flexible. See you guys.
Have a good one.
Take care.
Yep.
All right, and what would you recommend, DT, to someone joining? Like someone new, someone out there that is using VS Code as their daily driver, and they're like, "Oh, I want to try one of these too." What would you say to them?
Well, I have some strong opinions, and I'm going to disagree a little bit with TJ. I really think they should learn Vim and learn the Vim bindings. Like the very first thing, they have to learn how to use it. I'm coming at this from a Linux perspective too. You need to know how to use Vim. Whether you eventually learn anything about Emacs anyway, you got to learn Vim. So that's the number one thing they should do. Once they know how Vim works, as far as the key bindings especially, then they can worry about moving to other editors that also use those bindings.
Awesome. Okay. What about you, Greg?
Someone coming from VS. Yeah, I agree with DT. I think for any software engineer, knowing how to navigate at least the basics of Vim is never going to be like a wasted skill. Like that's always going to come in handy. And
you
I would say
remote
like,
into a machine that only has VI. You're gonna need to know those bindings.
Yeah, and do it piecemeal, right? Like if you're a VS Code user that uses that is comfortable with VS Code and you're Neovim curious, I would say find ways to do it in chunks. Like you can try to switch wholesale, like cold turkey. That's going to be really challenging, and you're probably going to hit a lot of friction. This is true of any tool, right? Not just Neovim. Like making a big switch like that is going to introduce a lot of friction. And if you are going into it knowing it's going to be hard, but you're dedicated to pushing through, that's great. Most people are not like that, right? Like most people, especially if this is like a work context, like most people want to be productive. So find ways to do it in small chunks, and don't start Neovim with like your Neovim journey or whatever with like 40 plugins, right? Like start Neovim to edit a file, make a quick edit, and then start learning. Okay, how do I create some splits? How do I navigate windows, right? And just do a little bit at a time. I mean, I'm proficient in Neovim, right? Like that's not bragging. Like that's just a statement of fact. But I've been using Vim full time for like over a decade at this point. Like I did not like walk up to a computer when I was 18 years old and like fly around Neovim, right? Like nobody does that. It's very much a progression. And I'm sure Emacs people are probably the same. Like when you start using Emacs, you're like babies first.
Right. Or you don't start with the hard, complicated stuff like macros and substitutions and things. You just need to know the motion keys at first.
Yeah.
Or maintainer of Neovim. I'm proficient at Neovim.
Breaking news.
That's biased. Yeah. And what about you, Josh? What would you recommend someone?
I wholeheartedly agree with that, but I would even go one step further. If you are editing text on a computer, you should learn Vim. If you're a writer, you should learn Vim. If you do anything editing and everybody edits text, you should learn Vim. Vim is incredible. The way that modal editing and the I'll call it mnemonic editing, like DT2. There you go. Shout out DT2 Word or whatever. Like that's incredible. When you start to see that from a what you see is what you get editor coming to that, you're like, it's a revelation. It's completely different.
And it's not just for programming either. Well, I like he mentioned his book, just creative writing, because I've done the same thing. I've written a couple of books. And, I write it all in Emacs using the Vim bindings, the evil bindings, right? And then when it's actually time to format it, then I'll put it into a word processor. But it's so much easier when you're writing to use the key bindings, the Vim bindings. It speeds up the process, especially when you need to move around large blocks of text. Just using a standard text editor is much more complicated.
It probably saves me, and this is not a joke, probably between a day to 2 days every single month of work time, I would say. And that's not an exaggeration, which is insane. Now
I've done some macros, some pretty complicated macros on things that literally would have taken me days, if not weeks, to do the same thing if I didn't have access to that kind of power that you get in a Vim or Emacs.
Yeah, 100%. And then I mean, I think it's honestly just starting with Emacs. Like I think Doom is a great starting point, but it's an editor of a lifetime. Like when you look at these two editors, you are essentially undergoing, this is a journey for the rest of your computing natural life, right? So you shouldn't be hesitant to look into either of them, try both of them, and just get started with it, because it's going to be the rest of your computing use of a computer for the rest of your life. You're going to be using one of these two tools, if not both.
You may not end up on Vim or Emacs down the road, but you will definitely come out of it different. You will view software and computing in a totally different way.
Yeah. It's a paradigm shift. Like it's a philosophical, it's a different way of using a computer than you have growing up using, we should have the censor button for Windows. Beep. but you come from that and you come to this and you're like, they're not even the same. It's not even the same endeavor.
Yeah. It's pretty tough to go back to something else after I've used Neovim. I'm not a developer, but just for my Markdown, my blog post, and all that stuff, if I need to write scripts, I cannot do it in VS Code. I could, and I can enable Vim motions, but it just doesn't feel the same. I don't know. It feels like a total downgrade, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Really appreciate everyone's time. Thank you very much. Thanks to all of you.
Thanks for organizing this. I enjoyed the chat. It was fun.
I gotta say, Greg, it's definitely a thankless job to maintain an open source project. So that's pretty cool, man.
Thanks. Well, it's not fully thankless. I mean, I get occasionally it gets stuff, stuff like this happens. So it feels a little bit not so thankless.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man.
No, honestly, I don't think of it as thankless. To talk about this for a second, I think of it as a huge honor, honestly. Like to see someone I really respect is Kovid, who Christian just interviewed, right? Like,
did you watch it?
Kovid say, I watched parts of it. Yeah,
I was not a fan.
To hear Kovid,
I didn't know too much about him because you have an image. Did you have an image before the video? Be honest, and did it change after it? Because
I didn't watch the whole thing. I already know Kovid kind of. I don't know him personally very well, but I've interacted with him enough between Ghostty and Neovim to already have know his little bit of his personality. But he's kind of a controversial person. Are we still recording? Are we still live right now?
Yeah, we're live. We're live. No, but
time to take this private.
Yeah.
That's why I was being quiet. Josh, he's being quiet. We're all like, "Where's this going?"
I'll say. I'll still say what I was going to say. Like, I understand he's kind of controversial. He has some hot takes and opinions, of course, and he's publicly said things that I think were sometimes rude for sure. But I also have a ton of respect for him. He has single-handedly pushed the terminal ecosystem as a platform. He has I think even 5-10 years ago to even say that the terminal as a platform would have been a joke, right? Like, I don't think anyone would have taken that seriously. But Kovid has almost single-handedly solved so many issues that have plagued terminal applications for years by himself. Like that, I still have a huge amount of respect for him. Anyway, the only reason I brought this up is because to hear someone like that, who I admire and respect, they're using Neovim, right? Mm-hmm. On the Ghostty project, Mitchell is the kind of the lead developer and the originator of that project, and he uses Neovim, right? And another person I just have this enormous amount of respect for. I have coworkers, right? They don't know me, right? They don't, but they use Neovim, right? So the being on this team of people that creates this this tool that people love, right? Like it was like the top most loved editor in the Stack Overflow surveys for multiple years in a row. So that's a huge honor to me. So I don't think of it as thankless. I'm just so glad to even be included, right? Like to be able to touch this thing that has an impact on people's lives. I get a lot of action out of. It's a big responsibility too, right? Like, because I do take it really seriously when people say that they updated Neovim and stuff breaks, right? Like I think we're maturing as a project to try to be better about that. But it does have a sense of responsibility that this is an important part of people's workflows, and we need to take that really seriously.
And going back to the point of Kovid as well, I had I watched a couple of videos, maybe because you just watch videos, you just read a few comments in GitHub, and you create an image, right, of that person. But after the interview, that completely changed. I'm a fan now, full Kovid fan, man.
Oh yeah, I'm a fan too. Like I said earlier, I know I asked a question for live, it was kind of hinting that I was gonna talking crap, but I really wasn't. I had a ton of respect for him. I think every Neovim user owes them a lot, even if they don't use Kitty.
Yeah. Now, do you
Like me.
know who started the graphics GPU accelerated terminals? Because I forgot to ask him that. Was it Kovid or was it the Alacrity guys? Do you have an idea?
Oh no, I don't know which. Honestly, I think iTerm might even be in that discussion. Honestly, because iTerm has been around for a long time, and they also have new GPU acceleration. I don't know who was the first to do it though. To answer your question,
I don't use a Mac, but on Linux, Alacrity was the first one I remember ever.
Yeah, I was going to say
that.
Alacrity.
And now there's a dozen of them. Well,
Okay. Anything else? Any final words that you guys want to share? We can do a round table if you guys like.
No, that was a great discussion. I mean, there was no throwing down or anything like that. So, and I do agree with DT. Like this is like the oldest going battle, and it's probably just because we're not 70 years old that we're not screaming.
Yeah, we're not invested in it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
it's one thing.
It's
I
like
was going to say it was different. Obviously, like in the 80s and 90s, people took that editor battle seriously, where now nobody really cares. Because let's be honest, Neovim, Emacs, most people are using that editor that shall not be named. It's really what I don't use it. I've never tried it. I know nothing about VS beep, but I'm sure it's fine too.
Yeah, it's like Linux and macOS. I have been interviewed in Linux channels. You, DT, Brody as well. I don't know if the communities are being brought together as well in that sense, or I know there's a fight against Windows. I don't know why, but
there's strong opinions. All right.
Strong opinions.
It's open source versus everyone, really. Like I think that at the end of the day, it's open source versus closed source, and I think open source is winning drastically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's different now because Linux is becoming so much more popular. Like we're gaining users at like a crazy pace. Like when I started using Linux on the desktop, we didn't even have like 1% market share.
They just crossed 5.
Yeah, like it's insane, and like we just crossed 2% probably 5 years ago. When you think about that, we more than doubled probably in the last since the Steam Deck became a thing. Really, I think that's helped.
Yeah, when I started using Linux, 2.18% or something.
Yeah, because I remember looking at like some stat counter metrics like in 2007, 2008, where it didn't even register. Like it's less than 1%, right? So it's just crazy where things are at now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ever
sick of it.
And we're taking all that market share from Windows, by the way. It's not it's not Mac losing users. It's Windows. They're all leaving Windows.
Mac too. I don't know if you guys have heard about DHH recently.
Yeah, DHH.
He switched to Linux, and I think a lot of people are thinking about it. Have you thought about it, Gregory? You said that you don't have the time and energy to invest in the Linux desktop right now, but have you thought about it? Or you're just like, I don't care at all?
I use Linux on the desktop full time at work. I have a Linux desktop right here on the ground next to me that I use to play video games. I would say this is not going to be a popular opinion, but using Linux at work full time has made me appreciate my Mac even more. So no, I'm fully Mac pilled. I really like Mac OS. I appreciate Linux. There are a lot of parts of it I like, but I really like using a Mac.
Why?
I'll be a Mac user for life.
Yeah, and why is that?
Why?
Yep.
I feel like for me, macOS strikes the perfect balance between aesthetics, design, and still has enough of the POSIX underbelly foundation to be enough, like to let me do all the things that I want to do on a computer. And it's stable. Like on these laptops, the battery life is insane. I know it's a hardware thing too. So this is not necessarily Linux's fault, but like on my work laptop, I have it unplugged right now. I guarantee you when I come to work on Monday, it's asleep. It's not on, but it's not charging. On Monday when I come into work, it's going to be dead.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be like it's suspended and the battery's still going to drain and die. On my MacBook, I can leave this thing off the charger for weeks and I can just open the lid up and it's still good to go, right? Like that's huge. This thing doesn't even have a fan. Like this thing had like my MacBook will turn like crazy. Like it has enormous computing power and I never hear the fan. On my Linux work laptop, the fans never stop. Like it's stuff like that, right? Like and then there's stability problems, right? Like the audio on Linux is such a pain, right?
Yeah, that's definitely
I've
a
never
serious
had
issue.
any audio problems on my Mac. And so stuff like that, right? Like I totally understand the people that like to tinker and want to modify their system and control it and customize it. Totally understand that. And if that's something you care about, obviously macOS is not going to be for you. But for me, I'm at a stage in my life where it's like when I get on my computer, I'm there to do something. I'm there to like get something done, and I just want to open it, have it work, get whatever it is I'm doing done, and be done. Right? Like if I want to tinker, I have my gaming computer. Right? Like I have that outlet if I need it. If I just want to dick around, or pardon my French.
It depends on the type of user you are too. Like we're all probably the kind of people we spend most of our time in a terminal, at the shell, in our text editor of choice, whatever it happens to be. And the operating system at that point really doesn't matter. As long as you can get to the tools you're using, it doesn't matter. Right? That's why I don't really hop between Linux distros anymore, because it doesn't make any sense. If most of the time I'm spending in the shell, in the terminal, using the same bash shell with the same core utilities, it doesn't make sense for me to spend a couple hours hopping from one distro to the next, and then the next day do a different distro. And like I'm just hopping for no reason. I'm just getting the same experience on each distro. Once you're no longer tied to desktop environments, like if you're one of these people that really are invested in like menu systems and things like that, I guess it matters. But for me, I can't distro hop anymore. It's become a pointless activity.
Yeah.
You can start with Nix Darwin, and then you can use Nix OS full time.
But how often do you redeploy your computer, Josh? And be honest, you spent like 2 months setting up everything in Nix, and you're gonna redeploy your computer every 10 years. So you just lost a lot of time there.
No. I have lots of servers, man. Lots of servers.
No,
you got lots of servers. No, because I have this laptop and I have like 3 other laptops at home, right? So it's really nice to be able to spin up literally the same environment on all of these different computers in one file. It's pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
What distro did you end up on, DT? Just Arch?
Right now, it started life as Arco Linux probably about 3 or 4 years ago, which Arco's no longer around, but I haven't really used the Arco repos in forever. It's essentially my distribution because I have my own repo of software and packages I maintain. So it's Arch, but the Arch guys wouldn't support this thing. Like, hey, what have you done to this, right? So I've got a lot going on. Of course, I don't go to forums and do support requests anyway. I take care of my own problems. I have for years because, the Arch guys are mean. So.
Yeah, fair enough. It does seem that everybody essentially ends up at Arch or Debian pretty much. Like it's those two.
Yeah, Debian. I've been thinking about Linux, and I think I will go with, I don't know. I have no idea. I want to try Arch just for the sake of trying it, but I'm more into Debian. That's what I use on all my servers, Debian all the time. They're really stable, man. Yeah, I don't know. But
you can use my NixOS configuration.
I don't know. That'll be an experience. He might prefer something else, Gentoo or Slackware. That would be.
Yeah, I heard those are complicated to install. I don't want to spend too much time.
They're a little different.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate everyone's
thanks for having us, man.
time. No, thanks to you.
Thanks for.
All right, thank you, Christian.
Rescheduling. Appreciate
good to
it.
meet you, Gregory, Joshua.
Bye,
You
guys.
as well.
Nice to meet you all.